Grimcast Manila is a podcast of creepy stories from around the metro. I'm your scaredy-cat host, Antonette, and I love a good ghost story. In this episode, we're talking to Chris. Chris is the host of Big Baby Sister Pod Dead Air, a horror podcast. Chris is a huge, and I mean huge, horror fan. Like so huge, he has a Shudder account and very kindly lets me ride off on it. During the day, he's a creative director at boutique digital agency #Interactive. He's also an illustrator and graphic artist. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Yay! Thank you so much for having me on.
Finally. And thank you for reminding me that you did have a story when I was like, do you know who I could guess? And then Chris was like,
yeah, and I was like, you can guess
So
me. Because I do have a story.
Wow. Talk about like giving myself a hard time finding guests. No? So, I mean, just for a little, I guess, background, Chris. So, since Chris is the host of our sister podcast, Dead Air, we have been recording every week for like, a solid year and a half now?
Year and a half.
But like, Chris and I have actually never met in person.
Oh, shit, that's true.
You're the only one I haven't met yet on Dead Air.
Yes. Yes, this is true.
But yeah, we've seen each other every week. So, I guess this is like how friendships are now in this pandemic.
Yes. Online.
Yeah. So
this is the new normal.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be like when I meet Erin and I'm going to be super stressed because like she's super tall. Like,
just so you know, I'm taller than Erin. So.
Well, all right. So I'm used to like talking to you over Zoom, like eye level. So I guess when we finally meet, I'm just going to be looking up being like, hey, how's the
Miguel and I, we're not sure who is the taller one. Miguel's pretty tall. He is deceptively tall.
Is he?
Yeah, he's pretty tall. Deceptive.
Okay, well, Miguel and Erin are the other hosts of Dead Air for our dear listeners who don't listen to Dead Air, which you should. It's a great show. Mm-hmm. They have wonderful guests on who talk about their favorite horror movies. Mm-hmm. So this is why we're on the same production company.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's jump right into it. Now being on the receiving end of this question.
Yeah, this is so weird.
How weird is this, Chris?
I never answer. I ask the questions. Okay.
Have you ever had to answer this question before?
This question, never.
Okay, well, here goes.
Let's do it.
Chris, what is your horror origin story?
Okay, I love it. Okay. Okay. So because like normally I would answer this in the context of movies. So I have two answers. The first one is the context of movies. My horror origin story is definitely watching Aliens for the first time when I think I was about 8 years old in a movie theater.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is back in the, I'm not going to give away my age, but a long time ago. I grew up in Mindanao, and then we had the concept of double features in cinemas. Did you guys have that in the 80s here in Manila?
So, Chris, I was born in 89.
Did you have that in the 90s?
The first movie I ever saw was Power Rangers. So, yeah, I don't know how to answer.
But no, okay. So in the 80s, okay, just to be clear, I was born in the 80s. I didn't. That's not my like formative like teenage years. I was born in the 80s, but we were a big like a movie watching family. So we watched movies a lot. We saw a lot of movies growing up when I was young, and there was no age restriction. So my parents would bring us to films, and we had this whole concept of double features in Mindanao, in Cagayan de Oro, where I grew up. It was always a big thing. We would go as a family, go to block off 3 to 4 hours on like a special night, maybe once or twice a month, and then we would just be like, we would have nice dinner and then go out to a 3 or 4 hour feature.
Dang.
And then, we get like the popcorn and the drinks, and then we sit down and watch movies. And the thing with the double feature is it is so arbitrary how they put those two titles together.
Okay.
Like, it is so bizarre. Like, there's no rhyme or reason. Like, it's not like we'll put two drama films together. We'll put two comedies together. It's like it's so arbitrary. It's just really based on when the movie was released.
Right.
So this particular time, which was burned into my brain, was my parents brought me to the screening of Who Framed Roger Rabbit because they thought it was a kids movie because it's animated.
Mm-hmm.
But number one, it's not.
Right.
It's extremely adult. It's not for children. But the worst thing about it was paired with Aliens. James Cameron's Aliens, not the first movie, not Alien. So it was a double feature of Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Aliens. And then so we watched the first movie, and I was like, well, great animation, and like I don't know what's happening. There's like actual people who have an affair with fucking animated woman, and there's like murder, and it's like what's happening? Like I just wanted to watch cartoons, but that's not what happened. So that was that. And then we jumped straight into Aliens, which as an 8-year-old, you're like, what the fuck is happening? Like, this is fucking terrifying. So yeah, that was super traumatic. And the worst thing about it was I was there with my younger sister. If I was 8 years old, she was 6. So I know for a fact that this thing really scarred her for life.
Oh, dang.
Like, she had no setup to Aliens or to horror or to not even murder on screen.
Oh, man.
So like she still talks about it to this day. Like, she is so traumatized by that screening of Aliens. So that is my horror origin for movies. Okay. So, but I have another answer to this question. I'm sorry to take up so much of your time.
No, but actually, before we get into your other answer,
yes, please.
I am so surprised that you were let into this movie.
I'm telling you, like at the time, there were no age restrictions, no nothing. There's nothing.
Do you remember when I said that the first movie I watched was Power Rangers? I was only able to watch it at our second attempt because the first one. So at the time I was 6, and the age restriction was 7. So me and my dad get to the ticket booth, and the lady says, "How old is she?" And then my dad says 7, but at the same time, your truthful, lovely friend over here goes, "I'm 6." And so we were like turned away for Power Rangers, and you guys were let into Aliens?
Yeah. So again, like this is our age difference talking. So I guess I assume this all happened when I was in my mid to late teens. So that's when they were like stricter about children coming in. But at the time, they were just like, "Fuck it, you're 2 years old. Here, watch fucking Halloween."
Yeah, but I guess like what happened to your sister, they realized that, hey, maybe we should avoid scarring young children.
Yes. Maybe that was the reason. Yeah. That could have been the incident that incited everything.
I just wanted to like see a giant multicolored robot situation.
I should not have seen that movie at 8 years old.
Not at that age, man. Like
I should have seen Aliens when I was at least 10. I'm
so surprised your parents didn't like just march you out as
they had no
weirdness happened.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. I'm surprised that I'm not surprised they took me because maybe they didn't know what it was about.
Sure.
But like midway, they should have fucking taken me out of that theater.
Maybe not great for kids, no?
Yeah. Well, exactly.
Anyway, okay. So what is your other origin story?
Okay. My other origin story is so I grew up in an extremely religious background. Extremely religious. Huh. So my mother has 7 siblings. 4 of them they're not nuns. They're lay people. They're if you know the order, the Teresianas. They're if you're from Poveda, Father Pedro Poveda. Anyway, it's a religious order. So basically, a Teresiana is a lay person. It's a religious order, like nuns. You have a vow of celibacy and celibacy and you dedicate yourself to God and everything. So I grew up in an extremely religious setting, background. All my aunts, my mother's family, and surrounded by fucking statues all the time, and fucking paintings of the saints, and it's unnerving, honestly. And in the early 90s, there's this thing that happened called fuck, I forgot what it's called. It's called the Agoo miracle.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of that. It's this town in the Philippines. It's near La Union. It's called Agoo.
I'm doing
And there's
there's
a kid there called Judiel.
Yeah.
Yes, and he said that the Mother Mary appeared to him and told him all these secrets about the future and whatever.
Sorry, we just must correct.
Yes.
Now goes by the name Angel de la Vega.
Yes, he transitioned. She transitioned during the time when she was much younger. She was called Judiel.
Yeah.
She has since transitioned. But at the time, she was a very young boy called Judiel, who said that he witnessed a vision of the Virgin Mary, and she spoke to him and told him about visions of the future and everything. And this all happened in this small church in this town called Agoo near La Union. And there was a statue there of the Virgin Mary, and the Virgin Mary statue started crying tears of blood. And then this image of the Virgin Mary statue with bleeding eyes was fucking everywhere in the late 90s. It was everywhere. And it really traumatized me. It was really scary. Really, really scary. And then, but this hysteria, this mass hysteria happened where everyone said there was the real thing. People flocked to the area. My family brought me. We're from Mindanao, which is so far away.
Yeah.
We flew to Manila.
Dang.
Drove all the way to Agoo again, which is in La Union, so that's about a 6-hour drive.
Dang.
Went there and then braved this very, very long line. It was a fucking long line of people lining up to go to that church and draw water from the lake, which apparently has miraculous properties
pilgrimage
or whatever.
Style.
Yeah, for real. This is the late 90s. And then we saw the statue, and there was true to form, there were flakes of dried blood going down her face, and it was fucking terrifying. Everyone was wow,
going down
amazing.
Actively?
They were no, they had already dried
okay.
up, no movement. It was already there, but so everyone's just bowing down and crying and praying out loud, and it was the freakiest fucking thing. I swear to God, it was the scariest thing for me. I was like, this is fucking terrifying. There's a fucking bleeding statue over here. People are crying and wailing, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It was terrifying. Really, it was really terrifying. I think everything boils down to that moment. I think was that was easily my horror origin story. That was fucking terrifying. That's why whenever I get asked about what's the scariest movie for me, I'm always it's just a genre. The genre is fucking religious horror. If there are saints there, if there are fucking paintings of a bleeding saint or fucking Mary crying tears of blood, that shit scares the fuck out of me because of my background, how I grew up with my aunts, and seeing that fucking statue, which again, I must clarify, it was debunked.
Was it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Judiel admitted that was all fake.
So what was that stuff then?
That was all fake. That was they fucking rigged they
A
rigged
thing.
a thing behind the statue's eyes to make it leak tears of blood. But it was fucking terrifying, and it fooled me, and it
Mm,
fooled everyone. It fooled millions of people. I'm telling you,
mm.
this thing was huge. But yeah, absolutely 100% fake, totally bullshit. And so that's why, like, I have to marry that whole, like, my fear of like the unknown, and like and the afterlife, and all that religious shit with the fact that that bullshit was fake, but it
Oh
terrified me as a
man.
kid.
I
Yeah.
mean, and is it like when you got there, was it like some life-size statue situation that's like,
No, it was a tiny statue actually.
oh,
It's probably like maybe a foot and a half tall. Yeah.
oh, but
Yeah.
yeah, super creepy religious horror.
Super creepy, religious horror, people crying, wailing. You
Oh
see a
man.
statue with like dried blood on its face. It was fucked up.
How old
And
were
we're
you
supposed to,
then?
I think I was about 13, 14, something like that.
Yeah, but like seeing all those like people almost in rapture, like completely
Yes, yes.
freaking out, and also crying statue, crying blood. That is
This is,
terrifying.
yeah, it was terrifying, really. Like, I cannot exaggerate how scary that was. Or I don't know, like, people, maybe a lot of people who were there actually took comfort from it. I don't, I don't
But
know
the
for
thing is,
them. I mean,
okay, let's humor the story. If it were real,
mhm.
why is it a
Be-
good omen
because
that this thing, like this statue is crying blood? Like, why is that a good thing?
apparently it wasn't a good omen. It was supposed to be Mary warning us about
The
the
end of
end
times
times. Yeah,
in
yeah.
1994.
So yes, so it was people going there and basically saying that I wanna wash myself of all my guilt because I know it's the end times and we're all gonna die, and I want to be I want my conscience to be clean before I meet the Lord. Yeah, so it was fucking freaky, dude. It was freaky. Yeah,
Well, as far as I
fucked up.
know, the only end times that affected the world over in 1994 was the death of Kurt Cobain. Um,
Yes.
so far, that's the
Yeah.
only thing I remember 1994 from.
Exactly.
Not that I even have memories from 1994, mind you.
Because you were what, 6 years old?
No, dude, I was 5.
Wow, I was off by
You're
a
so off.
year.
No, but yeah, well, maybe 4. I don't know, man. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so fun times for
Super fun time.
for future reference. Religious horror is also the type of horror movie that I like can handle the least. Like, dude,
Yeah.
throw aliens at me, throw evil little
Yep.
leprechauns, like
Yep.
can do, throw like serial killers, true
Slashers. Yep.
crime, gore,
Hmm.
fun, can do, but like when you moo maybe
I can do
depends.
Momo. Yeah. I can
Depends.
do supernatural. I can do ghosts. But if there's a saint in there, if there's fucking the Virgin Mary, I'm
Oh,
tapping
dude.
out, dude.
Well, not so much saints for me, but like if they start talking about demons,
Hmm.
that's when I'm like tap out, tap out, tap out.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So, I do you know the show on YouTube called BuzzFeed Unsolved?
No, what the hell is that?
Oh my God, welcome. Okay, welcome to BuzzFeed Unsolved. It is a really great like amateur ghost hunting show. But the great part is, since it's on BuzzFeed, it's not like those ghost hunting shows where they like purposely come into a place and like make it seem scarier than it is,
Mhm.
and like play stupid annoying music, and then their reaction, like normally on ghost hunting shows are like, oh my God, what was that? It's the door, it closed by itself, like shit like that, just like blowing up every small thing.
Yeah.
But this one is like, one of the hosts is a complete scaredy cat, the other host is a complete skeptic. So here you have the host, the believer host, completely freaking out, mind exploding whenever something creepy happens. And sometimes
Mhm.
creepy things do happen. And then here you have this other guy just like making fun of him, going, look at him, his mind's exploding. And like there are episodes where he just like, you're not supposed to provoke demons or anything. And like this other guy goes into the room going like, hey demons, it's your boy. What's up?
I love it.
Yeah, it's so good. And they're on their last season now, sadly. But if you get into it, there are 6 seasons to binge. It's wonderful.
Send me the link. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, but when they start talking about demons, man, that's where I tap out. Like if you start talking about exorcisms, like Emily Rose, man, I'm never sitting through that shit again. Like
Yeah, that's really bad. I mean, that's a great movie, but it's a hard one to watch.
Like even the Conjuring ones, like I have to do it in daytime. And then
Hmm.
the Nun one,
That's K lang for me.
well, it was Kaylang for me because
But in general, like you would think, no, that would be like one of my scariest things because it's a fucking nun. I think it's the prosthetics on the face that kind
yeah.
of threw me off.
Well, I mean, to get through that movie, I read the wiki entry as I was watching it, so
Yeah,
that
yeah,
really
yeah.
helped. But yeah, so lovely origin story, good times, statues, crying blood, and aliens.
Super good times.
I
Yeah,
love how Sigourney Weaver is involved in your horror
uh,
origin story.
absolutely.
Makes it a really good one. But moving on, the question of the hour or 40 minutes, who knows,
Hmm.
is do you believe in ghosts?
Okay, this is a very difficult question.
Why?
Very difficult because number one, I do not. I do not.
Okay.
I vacillate between being agnostic and
Mm.
an atheist.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm somewhere in between there. I don't know. Some days I am, some days I'm not. I do not believe in ghosts,
Mm-hmm.
but this story I'm gonna tell you is about ghosts.
Sure.
And it freaked me the fuck out. Like I have no physical explanation as to why what happened.
Mm.
Because there were a number of witnesses,
Oh.
and I was one of them.
Okay.
But yes, I think in general I do not believe in ghosts, and that is coming from someone who actually wants to believe in an afterlife. I really
Okay.
do. My father passed away when I was in my teens, and then I always was like, I didn't spend enough time with him. So I want to believe in an afterlife. I want to believe in so I can in supernatural, so I can see him again. So yeah, it's complicated. I really vacillate between that. But yeah, so that's why it's a very complicated answer for me. So I cannot say absolute no, and I can't say absolute yes. Somewhere in between, I still don't know. I am confused. That's my answer.
We
Yeah.
are undecided on the belief on ghosts, which is absolutely fine.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Maybe one day you will have a definitive experience. Well, no, you've
Yes.
had a definitive experience, so you say. So,
But again, it could be tainted with memory. It could be tainted with my age when it happened. But yeah,
you're such a skeptic. For someone,
I'm super skeptic. If you've ever seen the X-Files, I'm Dana Scully. Fox Mulder was the one who believed.
Right.
I am the skeptic. I'm Gillian Anderson. Yes. I've always been Gillian Anderson. I want to believe, but I need empirical evidence. That's it. Okay.
Upside, great hair.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't have great hair, but yes, she did have great hair. Yes.
I think, well, again, I've never seen your hair in person, so it's yet to be like jury's out. Anyway, all right. Well, let's get into it.
Okay.
So what's the story? What is your story?
Okay. I've built this up a lot. I hope it lives up to your expectations. Few things you need to know. First of all, this happened a long time ago. Secondly, again, like it could be tainted with memory and time, but I still do greatly remember the actual physical feeling I had when I saw it, and it still kind of like boggles my mind up to this day. Okay. So again, like this all goes full circle because this has something to do with my upbringing, my religious upbringing. So again, like I told you about I have 4 aunts who are in the religious order called the Tereshanas. They're Tereshanas. This is the order that kind of, takes the example of Father Pedro Poveda, a Spanish saint who is the basis basically for the school Poveda. Okay. And his order is the IT order, the order of the Tereshanas. Anyway, so I have 4 aunts who are in that order. I have seven people on my mother's side. She is the only female who is not the Tereshana. She's got 2 brothers and four Tereshanas. So when you're a Tereshana, you're a lay person. So there's a whole. It's not a convent because they're not nuns, right? But they're celibate. They've pledged themselves to God. So they live in dorms where they subsidize each other's food, and they get donations from the church, and they have so they have whoever is in the order. They get to sleep there, they get to eat there, and then they do all their prayers and whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna set the stage.
Yeah.
I live in Mindanao. There's a small town in Mindanao called Cagayan de Oro. It's on the northern tip.
Okay.
It's the northern tip of Mindanao, and it's got its hills and valleys.
Mhm.
Okay, it's a very unique land area because it's got a lot of mountains,
Mhm.
but it's on the tip of Mindanao, so it's blocked off by beach.
Mhm.
So it's got the mountains and it's got the beaches. Okay. So I grew up, I was born and raised in the small house in Mindanao and on like a hill. So on the lower, Cagayan is a valley city.
Mhm.
On its edges, it's got big hills and it's got like a deep valley. That's why when we were hit by Ondoy, it was so bad. We lost thousands of people.
Dang.
Because you know the structure of the land is it's hills and valley and it's a big valley, and so the rain just collected the valley and then it just
Right.
drowned a lot of people because there's also a very big river that runs through Cagayan called the Cagayan River. And so it was the offshoot from the mountains that as a result of illegal logging that caused this massive flash flood that hit the river that flooded the valley of Cagayan de Oro and that killed a lot of people. Okay, so just setting the tone for the physical makeup of my city. So my house lived on kind of a higher up part of the city. A small hillside, literally called Horseshoe Drive, because the makeup of the road was in the shape of a horseshoe. Down the road, deeper down that road into the lower part, there's a small tiny road. Is where the Teresianas, that order, they had their whole dorm. Okay. No, sorry. There was a house there. There's an old house that they bought because it was big enough to hold about, I don't know, let's give a number. Let's say 20 people, 20 Teresianas. So they bought it to house 20 Teresianas to use it as their dorm. Okay, so I think technically it's about, I don't know, maybe 4 blocks away from the house I grew up in. And that's where 2 of my aunts lived, right? So they were there from the start when they bought the property and started to use it as their dorm to house 20 members of their order. And it was a big deal at the time because they had to raise a lot of money and then to afford it, and then because it was kind of big, and then it was not so far from our place, so we were like, oh, we got this new place, we're gonna visit our aunts and then say hello, and and then I remember we had a big like party, to celebrate the purchase of that dorm. We had a lechon and everything, whatever. So this is where the story happens. Okay, so much set up. Please forgive that. This is where the story happens. So they bought that house. The next day after we celebrated, literally the next day after we celebrated the purchase of the house, they invited a lot of people from the surrounding neighborhood. Us, of course, a few neighbors and stuff. It was a big party. They had the lechon, the cake, whatever bullshit. It was fun. The next morning, my aunt called my mother, freaking the fuck out.
Why?
Because her room, she had a very tiny room, like super tiny, like just enough for a single bed. And in front of, adjacent to her bed is like a wooden cabinet,
like aparador.
Aparador that you just open, wooden, and they were varnished. I remember varnished brown, shiny brown. You got the whole like wood look that's emphasized by varnish. My aunt called my mother. She could not believe something was on the cabinet doors.
Okay.
So she told my mother, who told us, and then obviously I was super like, what? Oh my God. I immediately believed it because I was like so young.
Sure.
But I saw it with my own 2 eyes. And I have seen, not only have I seen it with my own 2 eyes, I have seen photographs of it. So I know it's real. On that door, the day after they bought the house, the door, the cabinet door of my aunt's room inside where she puts all her clothes. It's very tall. It's thin and tall, very tall. It's varnished brown. There's very clearly, you cannot mistake it. There is a word and it's a name, and the name is Soling. Soling.
And she's super sure that it wasn't there before.
I am 100% wasn't there before. And I will tell you the story. This story isn't done.
Oh.
So that night, that day, when she woke up, the name Soling appeared on that door. And it appeared, it kind of like parang, that's why I said the word varnished, because it was varnished. But the name is written like if someone wrote it in some kind of primer or whatever, because like it was dripping and it was like affecting the varnish. I don't know how to describe it, but it was affecting the varnish. It's not paint. It wasn't scratched into it. It looked like the varnish was like deteriorating.
Apparently it was melting the varnish.
It was melting the varnish to reveal the word Soling.
Okay.
So it said Soling. We didn't know if it was a word, if it was a name, or whatever the fuck it was. But I just remember my aunt telling my mother to go there because she could not believe what the fuck just happened, because she saw that door and had nothing. The day they bought it, the day they moved in, the day after that word appeared on her. And I hadn't seen it by that point. I had not seen it by that point. So I just know that it happened. I know my mother went there. It freaked my mother out. It freaked my aunt out. It freaked everyone out. Everyone was fucking terrified. Okay. The next night.
There's more.
The very next night. Again, I'm gonna preface this by saying to you that I am a fucking atheist / agnostic. I do not believe in the shit. Maybe there is something like, who fucking knows, man? Maybe someone just snuck in and like, wanted to freak some nuns out and put some sort of fucking, I don't know, primer over that varnish to make it melt or whatever. I don't give a fuck. But this one I know because I saw it with my own two eyes. This next thing that happened. So the next thing that happened was so the word Soling was on the left door. The next day after this was told to like fucking everyone, like she told everyone, literally told everyone. My mother told everyone. So like this spread like wildfire everywhere. The next morning, my aunt, again in her fucking room, on the right hand door, right next to that door that said Soling, another word appeared, and then the word was Lita.
What?
Very fucking clear.
What?
Left door said Soling, and then suddenly the next day the right one said Lita. Soling and Lita.
What?
And I didn't see, okay, so just to be clear, I did not see it when it was just Soling, but this caused such an uproar in that general
area,
fucking neighborhood, that they were letting people in to just take a fucking look at my aunt's room and to look at those fucking doors. And I was there, and I can guarantee you, I say this with zero fucking, it's clear as day. It said Soling on the left door, and it said Lita on the right door. And I have seen pictures of people just taking pictures of those fucking doors, and I've seen it. And it still says Soling Lita
to this day. Does it still exist?
I don't know because I don't know because they moved out
after that.
They moved out years after.
Okay.
But it never disappeared. Nothing ever came after those first 2 days. But they never disappeared. Those two words never disappeared. There were no like fucking, lights going off or whatever bullshit.
Sure.
It was just the first 2 days of Soling appearing on the one door, and then the word Lita appearing on the second door. And then I swear to God, like, I fucking don't. Again, I risked my reputation, by telling the story. But like, my whole family knows it. All my sisters have seen it. I have seen it. I just cannot fucking explain it.
Sure.
My only explanation is someone fucking fucked with my aunt.
Sure.
Came in with fucking, I don't know, some sort of varnish, or I don't know, whatever disrupts the varnish, and then wrote those two names on the door. They're still there. And they never disappeared until the Terrashanas left that house. And every time I go back to my hometown, I jog around the area. I swear, I always jog around that fucking house just to look at it. It's always in the dark, and it always gives me the fucking creeps.
Okay.
That's my story. I have nothing to add to that. That is it.
Couple of questions.
Yes.
Okay. So basically, Terrashanas buy house. All good. All is good. Move in. All is still good.
Yes.
And then your aunt sleeps in the room, let's say night before, all good still.
Yes.
And then next day upon waking, there it is.
Yes.
So it's basically just like the span of an overnight. I mean,
Yes.
normally people don't go into like each other's rooms, especially like if you're lay people. Like, why would like they don't do
Yes.
that?
So if that ever happened, if someone actually physically did it, the suspects are just Terashanas, lay people.
Yes, it doesn't like that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So okay, magically appears, and then what was the span of time between the first and the second word?
The very next day. 2 days. 2 days.
Oh wow.
Like 2 days in a row. The first day it was Soling. The next day it was Lita. So we always refer to those two people, whoever the fuck they are, Soling and Lita. This has affected me so much. Okay, so I kind of dabble as a script writer.
Sure.
I've done a lot of spec scripts, a lot. I've only written one that was actually filmed for Quark and Aris, called My Candidate. But the very first script I ever wrote was a horror film titled Lita, because of how much I remembered that fucking incident with whoever the fuck Lita is.
Voila, dude, it's a
It had nothing to do with my script had nothing to do with what happened. It's just the name Lita is just burned into my mind. Not even Soling. It's the name Lita is just burned into my mind. Like, yeah.
Cornerstone memory nito.
Yeah. Super.
Okay.
It is.
So, and then she goes to sleep the night before, and it's just Suling, and wakes up literally the next morning. As presumably nobody had been into her room as she slept.
Presumably. Yeah. And it's possible that someone did.
But I don't see why anyone would.
I mean, to scare someone. I don't know. Maybe do a prank. Or again, like, this is why I always view it with a lens, like, physically or scientifically. You can fake that shit, like, because I remember that the door is varnished. I don't know what kind of primer disrupts varnish, because it really looked like it was like drips. Like something written in paint, not paint.
What's that thing that you use for paint, for oil paints? Is it varnish, actually?
I don't know, man.
But you mix this thing in with oil paints to
yeah, exactly.
We'll do a Google, but that actually that melts paint because it's supposed to like dissolve it.
Yes, that's kind of where I'm going at. Like, if I was a scientist and I kind of broke things down into the physical world, that is possible. If someone came in, wrote that shit on the door using whatever that is, whatever primer, I don't know. Yeah.
Anyway, okay. And then like the next morning, presumably nobody had been there. Then there is this new word, and it just like.
So it appeared one after the other, one day and then the second day.
And like only in her room out of all the rooms in the house.
Out of all the rooms, in the house. Soling and Lita. So whatever that means. It's just so random.
Does that mean so like that? That's also another thing.
No one knows. That's why it's also weird. Like, if you were just playing a prank, like, why those names? Like, that means nothing. Like, it means nothing. Like, it's I don't know. I just don't understand. Did
they know who owned the house before them?
No. I mean, they're all like, whatever. They're all like, rumors of fucking like murders and that. But you know, that's all bullshit. That's all bullshit.
Who knows, man? Okay.
But again, like, I don't fucking believe the shit. I have seen both those names on those doors. And I've seen not only physically on the doors, I've seen photos of them. Again, the last time I saw them, I was probably like 10 years old. So please take it with a grain of salt, with my age, my bias, and then my fear of religion, whatever. But this is like something that was really burned into my brain, and I'm never gonna forget it.
I don't know what it is, man, but it's like places that are just very religious, or like retreat houses, or like seminaries, or just like people that have a lot of people who have, and there's a lot of religious activity. I don't know why, but it like attracts weird stuff, like really weird stuff. Like, I don't know if I know you went to high school in Cagayan, right?
Yes.
Right. So I don't know if you had like retreat houses or like.
Oh, super! I had a ton.
Right.
Yeah,
And
and in Cagayan, because I don't know how you guys did it in Manila, but in Cagayan we had it in the mountains. We did all retreats in tents. Yeah, in in like the highest point of the area.
Well, I mean,
Creepy as fuck.
I think I would have preferred tents because, like, at least you're not in some Well, I don't know. Actually, thinking about that now, that would also have been creepy. But we have like we usually go to like retreat houses, maybe in Tagaytay, Antipolo, Cavite, like, and these houses like they're super quiet, and maybe they're
Sure.
on farms or something, or if it's Antipolo, it's medyo secluded, and it's just like this solitary building where it's super quiet, it's super eerie. I mean, there are lots of people like praying and doing their thing, but yeah, it seems to just like attract a lot of really weird things too. And I have heard like theories of it attracts that sort because it's trying to challenge you as you like exercise your faith, and that just really freaks me out, man.
Yeah. Again, like it's I'm very very conflicted with this because I do not believe in this. I don't. I really don't. I can only believe in what I see with my own two eyes. That's why I always think in the back of my mind, I'm like, I think someone did that. I think someone did that to scare off someone. I don't know, but I saw it, so physically it is there.
Right.
It's not like something like you can slightly make out the letters. No, it is very clear. It is very clear. So in the back of my mind, I'm always like, it's very possible someone actually did something to do that to scare people.
But just like the one room and just like the one person.
Yeah. And like, why those words? Why those names? Like, what is that? Like, wouldn't you scare someone by like saying like, I am the devil or something? You know what I mean? Like, why something random like the name Soling and Lita? Like, it's so weird.
Have you seen Matilda? I'm sure you've seen Matilda.
Mm-hmm.
You remember the scene where she uses her telekinetic powers to pretend she's the ghost of the dad's dead sister? To like, scare him, like, Magnus, I know what you did. You know, like something like that, right?
Maybe Lita means something to someone who was there. Maybe. I don't know. Fuck, I don't know. I don't know,
man. Okay, so and then
I don't know
how
scary. I don't know how scary this story was for you, Antonette.
I don't know. It's really weird for sure, and it doesn't make any sense. And nothing ever happened.
Nothing. And then they were there for I think I'd say at least a decade. Nothing ever happened. It was just the first 2 days.
Maybe it was like trying to test them out to see, like,
yeah, it's possible. Yeah,
are they gonna freak
really
out?
Is. Yeah.
Are they not? We'll see. Huh. Yeah. Well, just one thing that you mentioned earlier, though, you said that it has to be, for you to be scared of something, it has to be something that you see. I think actually for me, it's the complete opposite. It's things that I can't see that I'm completely freaked out by.
They you imagine.
Yeah, because there's just a lot of space for me to fill in the blanks, and my overactive imagination does not help me out. I mean, much in the same way that I'm scared of pools that I can't see the bottom of anymore, or when you start when you swim in the sea and you can't see the bottom.
And then you hit when you hit the deep part.
Yeah, like that freaks me out. Like once you start not being able to see the bottom, I'm like, I don't like this anymore. So it's like the fear of things I can't see. I can't sleep in like pitch darkness. Because it's just like my mind fills in those gaps with all the things. So that's why like ghosts freak me out. The dark freaks me out. What a responsible 30-plus-year-old I am. But yeah, so it's super interesting that for you to be scared of something, you have to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, because that's what happens when you're an atheist. I guess you're just like, nothing scares me, dude. Like, because I don't believe in that shit.
Well,
but when you cannot explain something that you've seen physically, that's when it's like, okay.
I think that's why I'm more agnostic, actually. I can't say I'm completely atheist.
I think, yeah, I really struggle with it. Oh my God, is this a confessional? Yeah.
This is therapy. Welcome, Chris.
Yeah, is this therapy? Yeah. I to be fair, I really think I think I'm agnostic. I vacillate between.
I mean, it's a spectrum, right, for everyone.
Yeah, it's just faith is difficult.
Faith is difficult. Well, that's why it's
we
called
struggle
faith.
through it. Yeah, exactly. We struggle through our own interpretation of it.
Well, and that's life, I guess. You just gotta. Well, who sang this again? With George? There's a George in this name. George. You gotta have faith.
George Michael.
That one.
Yeah, George Michael.
There's like Boy George Michael.
Yeah, you wouldn't know because you weren't born in the 80s.
I know this song though. Well, anyway, thank you for joining us, Chris, and sharing your really actually your story is super unsettling.
Yeah, it's not super scary. It's just unexplainable. I think that's
it's unexplainable, and it's the kind of story that it's like if it were a coin, you just kind of keep flipping it and just like
Brian, doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. What? Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing that with us. It for me, it lived up to the hype. So I hope it's been the same for all of our listeners. Is there anything you want to share with the good people of the internet? What are you up to these days? How do you spend your free time locked at home in this 200th year of our pandemic?
Just please check out Dead Air podcast. Check it out. It's fucking awesome. Please find it on any platform. Super fun. You can please also, if you could, please check out my Instagram art account, Chris Costello Art on Instagram. And then lastly, the elections are coming up. Vote with your conscience. I'm wearing pink if you can't see it.
We're recording on a Wednesday.
Vote for Lenny.
Vote for Lenny. Vote for Lenny. Please, I can't go through this again anymore.
Mm-hmm. Life is too much of a nightmare. Let's fucking end the shit.
I can't. I just need the outside world now. Mm-hmm. Please, dear God, let me out. Funny enough, also on Maui's podcast, we had a moment. We had a please vote for Lenny moment. I can't take this shit anymore.
Awesome.
Yes. So thank you again, Chris. Super fun.
Thank you so much. I had a lot of fun.
Hour.
This was cathartic.
Welcome to therapy, Chris. This is actually free therapy.
It is.
But so thanks again. This has been Grimcast Manila with your host, Antonette. You can find more episodes on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and everywhere you find your podcast. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Grimcast Manila. Join our group, facebook.com/Grimcast, a group for ghosts and ghouls. And as of today, which will probably be not literally today when you listen to this podcast, we have an Instagram account, which I finally started posting on. I'm so sorry. But yes, we have an Instagram. It's called Grimcast MNL Pod. Follow that shit because I am finally posting on it. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, Grimcast Manila is a podcast of creepy stories from around the metro and is produced, recorded, and distributed by Big Baby Studios. Find out more about our other shows on Big Baby at itsabigbaby.com or facebook.com/Big Baby Studios. See you in the next one. Bye.